I am Reed, I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. Alright, let me start with something real. The original text I was given to work with talks about how traditional education and hyper-specialization is designed to make you obedient to the system. And man, when I read that, I felt it in my bones because I lived it. I was that kid who had no idea what he wanted to do at 18. I was told, go to college, pick a major, get a degree, get a job. That was the script, and I followed it like an idiot. I picked something random because I had to pick something. I racked up debt, I graduated with a degree I did not even care about, and I entered the workforce feeling like a trained monkey. Here's what nobody tells you, and this is more true in 2026 than it has ever been. The whole system is rigged to make you replaceable. And I know that sounds like some conspiracy theory stuff, but hear me out. The education system we have today was literally copied from Prussia in the 1800s. Prussia designed their schools to create obedient soldiers and compliant citizens who would show up on time, follow orders, and not ask questions. Horace Mann brought that model to America because it was efficient for the industrial age. But we are not living in the industrial age anymore. We are living in 2026, where AI has already replaced millions of specialist roles, and that number keeps climbing. In 2025 alone, over 150,000 jobs were cut across tech and media because of AI adoption. In 2026, that number has only gone up. And yet, we are still telling kids pick one thing, specialize in it, and you will be safe. That is a lie, and it is an expensive one. I learned this the hard way. When I was 22, I had a job that I thought was stable. I showed up every day, I did my work, I collected my paycheck. And I was miserable, but I stayed because that is what you are supposed to do, right? Get the job, keep the job, be grateful. Meanwhile, I had all these interests on the side. I wanted to learn about investing, I wanted to start a side hustle, I wanted to write, I wanted to create content. But I kept hearing that voice in my head from Parents Teachers Society that said, pick one thing, stop being distracted. Shiny object syndrome is bad, and I believed them. So I suppressed all those interests and I stayed in my lane, and you know what happened? I stayed broke, I stayed stuck, I stayed unhappy. Here's the truth I wish someone had told me at 20. Having multiple interests is not a weakness. It is a superpower, especially in this economy. The jobs that are disappearing in 2026 are the ones that are predictable, repetitive, and replaceable. That is what specialization creates. A specialist is a tool, and tools get replaced. AI is doing the replacing faster than anyone predicted. Just last month, another major company announced they are replacing their entire customer service department with AI agents. That is tens of thousands of people who were told to specialize in one thing gone overnight. But a generalist, someone who can pull from multiple disciplines, connect dots that nobody else can see, and solve problems that require creativity and human judgment. That person cannot be replaced. Not by AI, not by outsourcing, not by anything. Let me give you a personal example. I was terrible with money in my early 20s. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had credit card debt. I was doing the whole buy now, pay later thing. I felt like a failure because I could not get my finances together. But the reason I was failing was not because I was dumb. It was because I was trying to fit into a box that did not fit me. I was working a job I hated, spending money to feel better about my life. Because guess what? When you are miserable, you buy things to cope. That is just human nature. So I was stuck in this cycle of hating my job, spending money. I did not have to feel better than being stressed about the debt, so I stayed in the job I hated. Vicious cycle. The turning point for me was when I realized I did not have to pick one thing. I could learn about personal finance and investing and content creation and entrepreneurship all at the same time. I could be a generalist. And when I stopped trying to force myself into a narrow box, everything changed. I started a blog about personal finance from a regular guy's perspective. Not because I was an expert, but because I was learning in real time and sharing what I learned, and people connected with that because it was real. It was not some guru telling you how to get rich quick. It was just a guy figuring it out and being honest about the struggles. That blog turned into a side income. That side income gave me breathing room. That breathing room let me quit my job. And now I have built a life where I get to explore my multiple interests every single day and get paid for it. That is the dream, right? But it only happened because I stopped listening to the people who told me to focus on one thing. Now, let me break down the 3 things you need to actually make this work. Because having multiple interests is great, but if you do not know how to harness them, it is just chaos. And I know chaos. I lived in chaos for years. First thing is generalism. And I know I have been talking about this already, but let me be specific. Generalism is not about being mediocre at 100 things. It is about being good enough at enough things that you can combine them in unique ways. Robert Heinlein said it best. A human being should be able to change a diaper plan, an invasion butcher, a hog design, a building write a sonnet balance accounts, build a wall set a bone comfort. The dying take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure program, a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight, efficiently, die gallantly. Specialization is for insects. I love that quote because it reminds us that humans are meant to be multidimensional. We are not meant to do one thing for 40 years and then retire and die. That is not living. That is surviving. When I look back at my own journey, I realize that every single skill I learned in my 20s contributed to where I am now, even the ones that seemed useless at the time. I learned how to budget because I was broke. I learned how to cook because I could not afford to eat out. I learned how to write because I started journaling to make sense of my thoughts. I learned how to edit videos because I wanted to start a YouTube channel. None of these things were part of some grand plan, but they all came together to create a life that works for me. In 2026, being a generalist is even more valuable because the tools that used to require years of training are now accessible to everyone. You can learn how to code with AI assistants, you can learn how to design with AI tools, you can learn how to edit videos in a fraction of the time it used to take. But knowing how to use the tool is not the edge. Knowing what to build with it, that is the edge. And that requires a broad range of knowledge and experience that a specialist simply does not have. The second thing is taste, and this one is trickier because you cannot buy taste, you cannot download it, you have to develop it. Ira Glass said it beautifully. When you start doing creative work, there is a gap between your taste and your ability. Your taste is killer. You know what good looks like, but what you are making is not that good yet. And that gap is painful. Most people quit right there. They get discouraged because they cannot make what they imagine. But the only way to close that gap is to do the work. A lot of it, put yourself on a deadline, finish things. Fail, learn, do it again. I have been there so many times when I first started writing about personal finance. My articles were terrible. I cringed looking back at them, but I kept writing because I knew I had good taste. I knew what good writing looked like. I just was not there yet. And slowly over time, the quality improved. The same thing happened with video editing and public speaking and investing. You have to give yourself permission to suck for a while. That is the only way to get good. And here is where it gets interesting. In 2026, AI can generate almost anything you want. A blog post, a video script, a song, a piece of art, a business plan. But taste is the human filter. AI gives you 1,000 options. Taste tells you which one is worth pursuing. And if you have multiple interests, your taste is going to be more refined because you are pulling from different disciplines. You see connections that a specialist would never see. You can look at a problem in finance and apply a solution from psychology or philosophy or game design. That is where the magic happens. The third thing is agency, and this is the one that changes everything. Agency is the ability to create your own goals and pursue them without waiting for permission. Low agency, people wait for someone to tell them what to do. They wait for a job offer. They wait for a promotion. They wait for permission to start. High agency people just start. They figure it out as they go. They take responsibility for their own outcomes, even when things are not their fault. I used to be low agency. I would complain about my job, but I would not do anything about it. I would say I want to start a side hustle, but then I would find 100 reasons why I could not. No time, no money, no skills, no idea where to start. Sound familiar? The thing that changed for me was when I realized that waiting was costing me more than failing ever could. Every month I stayed in that job, I was losing money, I could have been earning, I was losing time, I could have been learning, I was losing the life I actually wanted. So I quit, not because I had everything figured out. I quit with no plan, no safety net, and honestly not a lot of money in the bank, and that forced me to figure it out. When you remove the option of falling back on a paycheck, your brain suddenly gets very creative. You find ways to make money that you never would have considered before. You learn skills fast because you have to. You develop agency because there is no other choice. In 2026, agency is more important than ever because the traditional safety nets are disappearing. The idea of staying at one company for 30 years and retiring with a pension is ancient history. Job security is a myth. The only real security is your ability to adapt and create value in whatever environment you find yourself in. That is agency. Now, I am not saying you have to quit your job tomorrow. That is dumb. I got lucky that it worked out for me, but I am saying you need to start building agency today. Take one small action toward your goal without asking for permission. Start that blog, launch that side hustle, learn that skill. Do not wait for the perfect moment because it does not exist. All right, so we have generalism, taste, and agency. Those are the three pillars. Now let me talk about how you actually turn your multiple interests into income because that is the part everybody struggles with. You have all these interests. You are a generalist. You have good taste, you have agency, but you have no idea how to make money from it. I get it. I was there for years. The first step is to choose what I call a meta path. A meta path is not a specific business model, like dropshipping or affiliate marketing or selling courses. Those are tactics. A meta path is a framework that allows you to pursue multiple interests over time without boxing yourself in. For me, the meta path is being a creator. I create content about personal finance and life in your 20s from a regular guy's perspective that is broad enough that I can explore any interest I have within that umbrella. I can talk about budgeting or investing or side hustles or mental health or career changes. It all fits. The beauty of the creator path is that it works with almost any business model. You can be a creator and sell digital products. You can be a creator and run a service business. You can be a creator and build a software company. The creator path is the engine that drives everything else. And the best part is you do not need a huge audience. You need a few hundred people who trust you and value what you offer. That is enough to replace a full-time income if you do it right. In 2026, the creator economy has matured a lot. It is projected to be worth over $500 billion. But the window for getting in is still wide open because the demand for authentic human connection is higher than ever. People are tired of AI-generated content. They want to hear from real humans with real experiences. That is where you come in. You do not need to be an expert. You just need to be one step ahead of your audience and willing to share what you are learning. Step 2 is to find your intersection. This is where your multiple interests become your edge. If everyone builds an audience, how do you stand out? You stand out by being authentically you. That sounds like generic advice, I know. But let me be specific. Write down your story. Where were you 3 years ago? What was your mindset? What was the turning point? What did you learn? Where are you now? Then write down 10 to 20 things you are interested in or curious about. Then under each interest, write down 3 problems or pain points you have experienced related to that interest. Then connect the dots, draw lines between your story, your interests, and the pain points. You will be amazed at how many connections appear. When I did this exercise, I realized that my story of being broke and confused in my early 20s connected to almost everything I cared about. Personal finance, career change, mental health, relationships, productivity. It all tied back to the same core problem, which was I did not know how to manage my life as a whole system. And that realization became the foundation of everything I create. Now, step 3 is to start creating and sharing. This is where most people get stuck. They overthink, they want everything to be perfect before they put it out there. But perfection is the enemy of progress. You learn more from putting out something imperfect and getting feedback than you do from sitting on an idea for 6 months trying to make it flawless. I have seen this pattern over and over again with people I have mentored. The ones who succeed are not the most talented. They are the ones who ship consistently. Step 4 is to build a product around your intersection. Once you have an audience and you understand their pain points, you can create something that solves a real problem for them. It does not have to be a full-blown course or a complex software. It can be a simple PDF guide, a template, a workbook, a short video series. Start small, get feedback, iterate, improve. That is how you build something valuable over time. In 2026, the tools for creating digital products are better and cheaper than ever. You can build a simple landing page in minutes. You can accept payments with a few clicks. You can deliver digital products automatically. The technical barriers are basically gone. The only barrier is your willingness to start. Step 5 is to keep learning and evolving. Your interests will change over time, and that is okay. The MetaPath allows for that. You are not locked into one thing forever. You can pivot when you discover something new that excites you. The key is to keep the core framework intact while allowing the specifics to evolve. That is how you build a sustainable career that does not feel like a cage. Let me be real with you for a second. None of this is easy. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes a lot of failure and a lot of learning from that failure. I have had projects that flopped. I have had videos that got 10 views. I have had products that nobody bought, but every failure taught me something that made the next attempt better, and over time, the wins started to outweigh the losses. The biggest mistake I see people make is giving up too soon. They try something for a month, and when it does not work, they conclude that they are not cut out for it. But that is like going to the gym once and wondering why you do not have abs. Building anything worthwhile takes time. Give yourself permission to be bad at first. Give yourself permission to figure it out as you go. That is the only way. And one more thing, stop comparing yourself to people who have been doing this for years. I look at creators who are 10 years ahead of me and I feel inadequate too. But that is a waste of energy. The only person you should compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. Are you a little bit better, a little bit smarter, a little bit further along? If the answer is yes, then you are on the right track. I want to leave you with this. In 2026, the world is changing fast.